Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and you're listening to the voice of the people. Let's get ready for Boxing Voice.
BoxingVoice.com.
What broke him down? Was it just the body punching? I was hitting him with body punching. I heard him actually, he was crying in there. You're saying that Gibbs was crying while you hit him? Yes. When did that happen? And perhaps the fourth round on.
BoxingVoice.com.
So that you knew you had him by that time. Absolutely, but I knew he was tough and taking those punches.
Productions.
Making women gestures like, oh.
Let's go, champ. It's the champ. Keep saying the champ. With the fake champ. With talent, right there, let's go. BoxingVoice.com. I'm a team like he's a C-plus fighter. I'm a dominant, I'm a dog-ish fighter. I'm talking about punishment. We're going to punish you for 12 rounds. Either the referee says you had enough, or you can say you had enough, or you can stay your ass there all night.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Boxing Voice. Today, we're going to be talking about David Lemieux and Curtis Stevens. As I reported from Saturday Night Live at the fight, this one is a done deal. Official announcement has been sent out to everyone's inboxes. We have the press release. We have a venue. We have a fight. If this is something that you're interested in, something that you want to talk about, remember the number is 1-425-569-5241. All our international callers or anybody that wants to call in on Skype can do so by adding Nestor Gibbs on Skype. Let's head on over to the Sunshine State to get the prognosis of the good doctor. BoxingMD, what's going on, brother? I know you weren't sitting on this. We're going to head on over to the doctor, the Sunshine State, BoxingMD. What's going on?
Is that a fair statement to make? You have to be honest with yourself. Amongst a lot of negotiation issues, this fight is finally made. It's official. I know that we talked about this fight for many, many months, but there was money issues, and I'm glad it worked out because this is a 50-50 fight going in, just like we saw last night or 2 nights ago, right? Two fights that were 50-50 in a lot of people's eyes, and it turned out excellent. This fight may have the opportunity to produce the same type of action.
Speaking of producing, head on over to back to California, or over to California rather, for Matt. What's going on, Matt?
Nothing much, guys. I'm pretty hyped on this fight, mainly because I know it's gonna be exciting. I think the style matchup between the two, the style clash between the two, is definitely going to result in a exciting fight, and I think it's going to definitely result in a knockout. And I'm pretty much already set on who I think is going to win. I think David Lemieux is really going to torch Curtis Stevens with a huge hook. I think Curtis Stevens looked so bad in his last fight against James De La Rosa on the Sergey Kovalev Andre Ward undercard, and I even almost scored it for James De La Rosa. Like he looked bad. So I know David Lemieux hasn't looked great either recently, but no matter what happens, I think the fight's going to be exciting. I think the fans are due for a good fight on HBO.
Yeah, it's definitely one that seems like it will be producing all action. Fight fans, they've been wanting this fight for some time. Curtis Stevens is very vocal. Definitely head on over to the YouTube channel. Check out what an interview with Curtis Stevens so you can see. I mean, he's basically saying that Lemieux was cornered and he had to take off his thong and sign this fight, take this fight. So thong is the word that he used. Just head on over there and check it out. He's calling himself the cerebral assassin now instead of Showtime or Chin Checker. He's gone through so many different ring names. The good news is for us East Coast guys, this one's going to be in the Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York. This one has an arena of about 5,000. This is the first televised and first televised U.S. fight that Gennady Golovkin fought. This is when he fought Proska. This is the same venue. It's a pretty good venue. Good fight fans come out. You can't really complain. It's scheduled for March 11th, which continues to jam pack. I mean, now we got boxing on the first Saturday of March with Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, then on the second with Curtis Stevens and David Lemieux, and on the third with Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs. Let's hope the boxing gods bless us with a fourth week of boxing. But the Montreal Canadian-born and bred Lemieux is coming off a back-to-back, I guess you would say, impressive victories over contenders that were, trained by Freddie Roach, like Glenn Tapia. But there's asterisks next to those wins. How much did Glenn Tapia have, MD?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that David Lemieux looked better in the Tapia fight than he did in his fight that went the distance, which you were really critical, rightfully so to an extent, against
Christian Fabian Rios.
Yes, exactly, which was his last fight. But I don't know, I think the fighter that's fresher is David Lemieux. But I think that the X factor in this fight, because Curtis Stevens is obviously a power puncher, but he could be outboxed. We saw Endom box circles around him, right? So I don't know if David Lemieux is the guy to do that, and which is why I may be leaning towards Curtis Stevens, actually, because I think Curtis Stevens has the better chin of the two. I think that Curtis Stevens could, because I think both are going to land their Sunday punch. And I think that Curtis Stevens is going to be able to at least withstand the punch from David Lemieux easier, right? And this is not my official pick, but I would say right now I'm leaning closer towards Curtis Stevens in this fight because of that. Because I don't think David Lemieux has the boxing skills to negate Curtis Stevens' power that still exists.
Well, I mean, I got a few quotes here. Let me give them to you. And it's interesting because we all know that Curtis Stevens is a good talker. He knows how to sell the fight. So one of the first quotes that Lemieux sent out is obviously, "The time for talking is done." And after long months of hearing Curtis yell about all the things he's going to do in the ring, I'm really looking forward to shutting his mouth on March 11th. I've told everyone my goal is to once again become middleweight champion of the world. Curtis is in the way, and I'm going to go right through him. How many fights do you guys give Golovkin in this division? Does Lemieux have a legitimate shot at becoming a world champion again? With Golovkin having so many titles right now, Billy Joe only being the only option, and I mean, history shows us that he's not going to be fighting anyone credible anytime soon, unless it's Canelo, right? What sort of shots does Lemieux or Stevens have at becoming a champion? Or a title shot.
I think David Lemieux has a better shot at getting a title and has a better shot at beating a guy like Billy Joe Saunders. I don't think either guy can beat Golovkin in a rematch, obviously. And if Canelo comes up and beats Billy Joe Saunders first, let's say, I think Canelo beats both these guys as well. So it's really these guys and Billy Joe Saunders, maybe add a Daniel Jacobs in the mix. Those guys at the bottom half of the top five, in a sense, that can all sort of beat each other on any given night, in my opinion.
Well, let's go ahead and open up.
Yeah, and let me just say, I think mathematically, at least the big picture, it's going to be difficult for either of these guys to get a belt because it's consolidated under really two fighters now. Whereas
it would have Billy Joe, right?
I don't know what's going to happen with Billy Joe. Originally, it was thought that somehow David Lemieux was going to face Canelo. So maybe Canelo. Yeah, it's going to come it's going to come from the WBO belt, whether it's from David Lemieux or whether it's from Billy Joe or somebody who takes it off of him, because he looks beatable at this point of his career now, Billy Joe Saunders.
All right. Let's get out to these phone calls really quick. Just a quick reminder, remind everyone that you can go ahead and download the Shannon Briggs iPhone and Android boxing game, Clash of Champs. So support the champ. Let's go, champ. Absolutely free. Download it both on your Apple, Android, whichever one you want. It's absolutely free. And obviously, we're going to head up to these phone lines.
And please hit thumbs up.
These calls are brought to you by our sponsor, El Camino Electrical Services, who have over 15 years of commercial electrical experience, servicing the whole Silicon Valley and the entire San Francisco Peninsula. Visit us at our website, elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Alex, talk to me all the way in Australia.
Hey boys, yeah, good fight. I really like this fight. Two of Golovkin's past opponents fighting each other, probably both on around the same level. I don't know what to say, man. Honestly, it's a good fight. It's a really good fight. I'd probably lean towards Lemieux. I think he's probably got a. I don't even know who to pick, actually. That's probably 50-50 as it gets for me. Yeah, I'm just happy they announced this fight. There's not much to say. Do you guys know where it's at?
Turning Stone Casino and Resort in New York, Verona, New York. It's about a 4-hour drive from New Jersey. I'd say maybe 3 or 2.5 from, the Bronx.
Well, it'd be good. Whoever wins this to fight would like to just beat Keitra. What's his name? Forgot his name.
Emmanuel Aline.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. See if Emmanuel fights the winner of this fight, and maybe that person gets a title shot. But yeah, it's my call.
Alex, thanks for calling in as always.
Very quickly, do we think that this is the main event because it's boxing after dark?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
that's what if it was championship boxing, it would obviously not be, but it has to be the main event.
But at this point in boxing, I mean, I would have accepted this as an HBO championship boxing. Lemieux's coming off of a pay-per-view. Stevens is always in a fun fight. I'm probably going to pick Stevens because I've never liked Lemieux. He doesn't like aggressive fighters. Stevens has no fear in him. He's shorter, though, and that's what always, has me fearful. And sometimes he can just stay there and not let his hands go. He switched trainers.
So bad in his last
John
fight.
David Jackson now. He's heading to camp Monday. I spoke to him obviously over the weekend. He actually invited us out, man. If I could book one more fighter, I might make that trip for you guys. I spoke to Lubin, Gerald Big Baby Miller, and now that's Curtis Stevens, all doing training camp in Florida. If I could get at least one more decent size, forward / big name, maybe King Kong, Thurman, definitely, man. I'm trying to get up in there. So if we could flip it, we're gonna do a trip over there. We're definitely heading over to Deontay Wilder on January 30th for a couple of days. So all our Patreons, we have a post in there. I want you to put your questions. We're gonna have Deontay officially ask your questions directly and exclusively for our Patreon members. So head on over for that post. Let me get out to these phone calls. We're going to 202. Marcus in DC. Talk to us. David Lemieux versus the cerebral assassin, Curtis Stevens. What do you think?
Yo, hold on, Ben. I think it's a good fight, man. It's a good fight. The guy who has the most versatility, we both know they can both bang. So whoever brings something different to the table is going to win the fight. I don't know at this point. I would like to see, like you said, I would like to see some training camp comments and to hear how things are going in sparring. But I think it's a good fight, man, for 160. Like I said, it right now it doesn't really make a big difference because at the end of the day, neither one of them could be Triple G. So, I mean, all this is for naught. It's good to see boxing putting good fighters against each other, though. I mean, that's always a plus, but it's a good fight. Good fight. Whoever's most versatile will win. Whoever brings something other than their banging will win this fight.
Who is that?
Is Shannon Briggs got a fight now or no?
Well, Shannon is supposed to be fighting Aquendo, but wait, let me ask you something. You said none of these guys could beat Triple G, but Curtis did pretty well. You don't think he could learn something, come back with a different trainer after a couple of wins? If he beats, he just beat Patrick Teixeira, that was an upset. They weren't expecting that one. Now if he goes in and he knocks out Lemieux, I mean, fuck, I'll campaign for Curtis to get. I mean, if someone wants to see him with a lean,
I would campaign for it. No. I'm not opposed. I wouldn't be opposed to either one of them winning, getting another shot at him. I don't think the result would be different though. You know, because I'm just saying, just being honest. There are a lot of fighters out here that just don't let smaller fighters beat them. When I watch Triple G fight smaller fighters, I don't see anywhere that these smaller fighters are going to have a win with him. I just don't. I do think Triple G is about to move up shortly, though. You know, that may open up that division again. Because I think Quillen moved up to 68. Chavez and Chavez and Canelo will be above 60 at that point, even if he makes the fight with Canelo at 60. I mean, I think if they just hold on for a minute, I told y'all before that, with Danny Jacobs, Lemieux, and Curtis in the mix, I think it could go either way. I still think Danny has the edge, but I think he's vulnerable against either one of those opponents, and that may be why Curtis move away from Rozier, potentially eyeing the setup with Danny Jacobs. If he comes out on top against Lemieux, if Jacobs comes out on top of Triple G. But hey man, I know you all did a breakdown analysis of Triple G versus Lemieux coming into this Danny Jacobs fight, but I would love for you all to do one with him and Martin Murray. Martin Murray's a little taller like Jacobs is, has some athleticism like Jacobs does, has a decent punch even though Jacobs has a better punch. I think when you look at the blueprint on how Triple G Danny's going to go, I think it's going to be more of that. Check into that, man. Let me know what y'all think, man. Great show. Good fight coming up.
Thanks, Marcus. Good idea. Sounds like something we could do for as another TBV All Angles on Patreon. Speaking of, I did release those 2 videos with Andre Rozier watching the Tank fight versus Pedraza, as well as watching the fight with James DeGale and Badu Jack. Very intimate. He's even eating food. Definitely check it out. You're not going to be disappointed. Very good content we're putting out there. You should check it out.
Yes, two quick questions, and then we can move on. The first question is, do you give the chin advantage to Curtis Stevens like I do? I think he takes a punch better.
Man, he took some solid shots from Golovkin, and that's what I liked, that there was never any fear. Like, once he got hit, and I hate to rob Teddy Atlas, but he kind of made it sound so poetic for boxing, right? But once he went into the fight, he wasn't afraid to be burnt. You seen he made the facial expression and everything, but even after that, it wasn't like he turned into a on the back foot fighter. He was still trying to mix it up. But speaking of Stevens trying to mix it up, I want to play just a couple of minutes of the interview that I had with him breaking the news about this fight on March 11th in New York City, Verona, New York, Turning Stone Casino and Resort. David Lemieux, Curtis Stevens.
Curtis Stevens. Changing it? The Cerebral Assassin. Cerebral Assassin. We changing nicknames because we bringing breaking news to you. You bringing somebody to New York City. Who's coming to New York City to see the chin checker? You got that thumb on his ass, Lemieux, bitch ass. When exactly are we looking for Lemieux and Curtis Stevens to do a main event in New York City? March 11th. March 11th. March 11th. Okay. And what could you expect in that fight? I mean, you and Lemieux, 2 big punchers. Yeah. Somebody's gonna get knocked out. Yeah. Fireworks, It's gotta go.
I can't give it all to you, man. Head on over to the YouTube channel. Check that out. We're going to Mr. Yes, Sir. Talk to me. Lemieux Stevens is official. What do you think about this fight?
I like this fight. I like this fight a lot. I think I'm going to have to give it with Stevenson, even though I think Lemieux might have a small edge in power just because he swings from a wide-ass angle. But I think Stevenson to go down the middle and crack the shit out of him. As I thought who the winner will fight next, I'm looking at the rankings and I'm thinking the quickest route is going to be the WBC route for these guys because they're both kind of all in the rankings for his belts. I'm going to think the winner will probably have to fight the WBC #1 Highland. He's been there for a minute. Either fight Golovkin or get rid of him and have a rematch, or they're going to have to go with that one guy you guys were probably talking yesterday, Toyota Corolla. He's pretty high in the other two.
Toyota Corolla, I love it. Where's the hipster at when you need to pronounce that name? It's something like Raiola Mariota or something like that.
Yeah, and Ness, I'm going to ask you this question, and caller, you can answer this. Yeah. What would be better for boxing?
Yes. Better for boxing?
Yeah, who wins at this guy?
Stevenson, because everyone would say he gave Golovkin the better match. So if you're going to sell a rematch who actually hit Golovkin, not the guy who got his ass beat by a jab. You know, so I think that's a better sell.
I just think that both guys lost so widely that I don't think he'd be willing to ever give these guys a rematch, unfortunately for them.
I definitely agree, but if they earn it by going up the rankings, the easier sell is the one who actually hit Golovkin, you know? And that's what I think. And before I go, I have a question for Ness about the Patreon thing.
Yes, sir.
I was looking on that 5 for 5, or I got 5 on it thing. I love that title, by the way. And it says you get a limited towel.
Yeah,
now, I'm a
TBV.
gym rat, you know, I do all that.
But it's not a body towel. It's a hand towel.
All right, that was my question, because I'm a gym rat, and I want to hold down a machine, and I want people to see what the fuck is holding down a machine. TBV. I was trying to get some free promoting for you guys that way. I was wondering what.
Oh man, you know we actually got a.
You like machines though? You don't like free weights?
We actually got a nice bodybuilding, the thin tank top too on the site. If you into that, you know I use the drop fit these days.
Okay. No, I do all the machines, but I do everything. But you know, when you do bench, you got to go up and get that drinking fountain. You don't want no one stealing your damn bench, so you got to get who's holding the bench down.
Yeah, you can lay the towel on it. That's right.
Yeah. You know, I'm trying to think of some free. Okay, well, I do got to go. Before I go, I know I win the time. If I do boomerang, and I'm a sweat hog, is there I can get like 3 towels into that boomerang deal?
Oh man, if you get boomerang, you're gonna get all sorts of deals. Don't you worry about it. Sign up and we'll hook you up, Mr. Yes, sir. Don't you worry about it. It's family over there. You'll soon see. Once those doors open, all that content is locked. But once you open them doors, you'll see what's over there. You hear the people calling in themselves. I don't have to promote it because people see I'm giving gold over there. But I'm gonna get to some other callers.
And you don't understand how happy that makes Ness. His two favorite things in life: working out and boxing/TBV. So that makes Ness happy.
It sure does, MD. Too Tough from Brooklyn, man. Talk to me. David Lemieux. And we got Curtis Stevens.
You know who I'm going with.
Of course I do.
I'm going to go with on this fight. You know what I'm saying? But I think that if these guys, like in 2018, they'll be like Canelo's WBO opponents to line up. Isn't Lemieux with Golden Boy or something? Like, once he beats Chavez, or if he beats Chavez and then beats Billy Joe in September, then he's going to need some mandatories or something to fill for those HBO free dates that he's talking about trying to fight again in December after September. So he's going to need an opponent. So maybe Lemieux or Stevens will be one of them dudes.
I don't think that he'd fight Lemieux on regular HBO, considering they do Liam Smith, who's even less of a name than David Lemieux. So I know people talking about Canelo fighting on HBO regular. I just don't ever see that happening again, to be honest.
Well, he said he was going to do it in December. I thought I heard reports of him doing the 2 pay-per-views.
He was also going to fight Claudio, right? Remember that one?
There's rumors of Canelo fighting Chavez in May, Golovkin in September, rematch with Cotto in December because he feels he's going to blow through your boy.
Well, there's not rumors about the Cinco de Mayo fight anymore.
Kirkland, Cotto better watch out for Kirkland before he get a B-hop on him. Yo, listen.
Listen, I hope so. I hope that cherry picking backfires on him. I would love to see James Kirkland knock him out and get another payday. So
that's what's going to happen this year. That's what's going to happen this year. So, well, B-Hop started. That was December. He tried to cherry pick Joe Smith. He got beat up. Cotto tried to pick Kirkland. He's going to get beat up. I don't know if Pacquiao going to, get beat up from Horn when he cherry picked him, but that'd be so funny if Pacquiao gets caught out there like Kirkland and Smith did to them, boy. Anyway, that's my call. Y'all hit them like buttons. Come Patreon members and all of that, y'all. That's my call. Peace.
Too Tough. Thanks for calling in.
Yo, Ness, if Smith does that again.
Does what?
Upsets a guy, knocks him out.
He could
get Joe Smith, if he beats Adonis, I mean,
Oh, Stevens, you mean?
yeah. Can you imagine? Like,
It's not signed though.
I know, but like hypothetically, he'd be in the running for MD's.
No, listen, he has a shot at knocking. If anybody has a shot at knocking out Adonis, it's definitely Joe Smith. You know why? Because Adonis has been knocked out by what's this guy's name?
Darnell
Boone.
Yeah, but I think
Joe Smith over Adonis.
917.
Hipster.
Let me holla at ya.
What's up, Nash? What's going on, TBV family? This is a great fight.
Who's this?
Action packed. It's Jabron from Brooklyn. Just signed on Patreon, like a month and a half ago?
Jabron, I got you. It's that we ain't got Steven over here. We're going to have to take shots at Matt until he learns to keep his guard up over here. He's dropping the ball left and right.
I don't have it on my list. I'll put it on there. Don't worry, Jabron. I got you.
Appreciate it. But I think this is going to be an action-packed fight. I don't think it's going the full 12. Both of them have power. I'm leaning a little towards Curtis because his corner, John David Jackson, is adding a little to his arsenal. So he's being a little more patient and putting his punches together and letting his hands go instead of keeping them in his pockets like in the Golovkin fight. And I can't wait, man. Diehard fan of this show, love it. People hit that thumbs up button, and that's my call.
All right, Brother Jabron, thank you for calling in. We're going back out international. Willy Wonka, talk to us.
Yeah, hello. I reckon this fight's going to be a good fight. What's the winner going to do? Fight Golovkin again? Get knocked out again?
Fight Eubanks.
Fight Billy Joe Saunders because what?
Eubanks?
Nah, that guy ain't going to fight no one. He's just talk.
Damn, nobody likes Eubanks over there.
Fight anyway, so, but it's good to see Golden Boy promoting a card that doesn't involve Canelo. That's a positive.
Finally, after those emails came out, I bet you they wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Willie, are you all done?
Yeah, all done. Now,
All right.
everyone put the thumbs up because Nestor didn't say it the whole show, so you know.
Well, and also caller.
Thanks for calling in, Willie.
I know you say, what are they going to do, fight Golovkin again? You remember that I've been saying this for a long time, that a lot of those 154 guys will be at 160 eventually. So I don't think the 160-pound division will stay as weak as it is. But like you said again, it's why move up? Because you're either going to fight not for a belt or try to fight Billy Joe Saunders, who's not fighting anybody, or you have to fight Golovkin. So it's not like there's championships to be won in that division that easily. So I think a lot of guys are staying out of 160 on purpose.
I think they should stay there because, I mean, at least you know Golovkin represents a big fight. So, like, for Lemieux, if you can work your way back into title contention with Golovkin, maybe it ends up on pay-per-view because maybe by then Golovkin's already just the pay-per-view star. But let's get back to one of my
He would have to get a belt, I think, a legitimate belt outright to even be in the conversation. That's my opinion.
Maybe you're right. Sounds decent. Let me get to my boomerang here. Alex in Australia again. Talk to me.
Hey boys, I forgot to say before, everyone sign up to Patreon. Honestly, when Ness says it's gold, that's an understatement. It's the most valuable thing. You get entertainment, boxing news straight away. It's unbelievable. I just literally lay in bed all day watching that shit. It's fucking amazing. That's for one. Two, I just wanted to ask quickly, you just said after those emails got revealed, what emails are you talking about?
Oh, there's an article on Bloody Elbow for all the transcripts of the court, I guess, proceedings between Al Heyman and Golden Boy and that lawsuit. And in those emails, they show the financials of Golden Boy and how Canelo Alvarez makes up about. Matt, help me because Matt was dying to do a show on this. This was hipster worthy right here.
In 2015, Canelo made up 90% of the net gross revenue of Golden Boy.
Is it 93?
I think it was 93%. And then in the first half of 2016, he made up the net revenue. He made up 107% of the net revenue for Golden Boy Promotions.
Yeah, and you know what that means is they lost money.
Wow.
That means they had to have lost money on all of their other cards to offset the positive revenue for Canelo.
So like Canelo's just either a massive star or all of the star they have.
Yeah, or this is some shady tax shit.
No, it doesn't look like that.
And you wonder why. And you wonder why Oscar probably doesn't want him to fight Golovkin. If he's literally the golden egg, he's their only egg almost. By the sounds of it, you wonder why they're very reluctant to fight Golovkin. I mean, that just says it all. But thanks again, guys. Thumbs up, everyone. Sign up to Patreon. Trust me, from someone that took way too long to do it himself. I should have done it a long time ago. It's the best thing. And thanks everyone for the show again.
Alex, man, thank you for the kind words. And definitely, I don't know if you have, but check out those 2 videos I did today on there with Andre Rozier watching the fight with Badu Jack and Gervonta Davis. Those were beautiful, man. Check those out. We're going to get back to the United Kingdom.
Remember me? I'm Stuart Little. I'm Stuart Little.
What's happening, Nez?
What's happening, Stuart?
Well, I just want to talk about this fight. First, I want to give you your props, mate. I actually watched some of your videos, and especially in the gym, and you know when you was interviewing Coogan and DeGal and all them. I just thought it was brilliant stuff. You know, that's Nestor Gibbs at his best. I'd like to give you some praise for that. Great videos.
Dan, thank you, Stuart, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was like watching a proper station do the interviews. It's very professional, and you're getting better, my friend. But we'll get on to this fight. Now, Curtis Stevens Lemieux, stylistically, is a great matchup. You know me, Nez. I love my punches. I love my brawlers. So this is what I want. But the problem is, Curtis Stevens is shot to pieces, and you're going to see that in the ring with Lemieux. I mean, I'm not sure Lemieux's at his best either, but I still think he's going to have probably a bit too much for Stevens. I haven't seen Stevens in good shape for a while. I haven't seen him in good form for a while. Now, he's going to have to land one of them bombs on Lemieux, and he's more than capable of doing it. But I just don't think he's that fighter that fought Golovkin anymore. And I think Lemieux, he could make easy work of him, to be honest with you. What do you think?
I think you might have a point when you speak about in good shape. You might be right. I mean, he did upset Patrick Teixeira, but he didn't have to go rounds. Usually when he has to go rounds, he does show signs of like.
Well, who is Patrick Teixeira?
An up-and-coming prospect.
He's a Brazilian, and Ness, can you name a good Brazilian boxer?
Ness, you should do that on Alfonso Blanco. You should have Blanco for this. Come on.
Exactly.
Right.
So.
But Teixeira, we at least seen him. Blanco, you never heard of. You just put him up there because ESPN.
You only heard him because he was an opponent on an undercard for the Canelo Khan fight, which is to give Curtis Stevens. You say an upset. I thought Curtis Stevens was the favorite in that fight, but I could be mistaken.
No. Teixeira's been signed at Golden Boy. Yeah.
Teixeira?
It was Teixeira, whatever. Yeah. He signed the Golden Boy. He was their prospect. Get out of here.
Stu, here's my thing.
Who Stevens is signed to?
Here's my thing.
Not Golden Boy. David Lemieux was signed with Golden Boy on this one. And David Lemieux and Stevens was signed with Main Events the last time when Golden Boy put their prospect. Why you think they were reluctant to put Lemieux? Because they knew what happened to their prospect. But Stewart has a point. This guy's stamina is like.
Let me. I'll look that up in a second. But Stu, here's my thing, right? I do agree that Curtis Stevens looks shot, but I just can't get over like what he's able to do and getting like outboxed against someone like Tyrion Johnson, who I think has better feet than David Lemieux. Right? He's able to stay away, and he just has that eraser. And I just have never been sold on David Lemieux's punch resistance. And I think Curtis Stevens does still throw heavy punches. So. I don't know, man. I may be leaning towards Curtis Stevens on this one. Not by winning outright.
Remember that Lemieux's last fight, this dude went 10 rounds, Stuart, with someone like Christian Sebastian something. I don't freaking know. What was this guy's last name?
Yeah, Lemieux's power is a bit
Christian
overrated.
Fabian Rios.
If you look at a lot of his fights, they're hanging around. I mean, and damn, I mean, he got knocked down about 7 times, but he kept getting up, didn't he? You know, and I think he's a hard puncher, but he's not a concussive puncher. Where Stevens if he lands clean, he's knocking you out cold. I think that's the difference. I mean, I think MD's right. His resistance is not great, Lemieux. It's not, but I think he was holding some of them Golovkin shots. I think he's tough enough to hang around enough to tire Stevens out. We're only going to get 3 or 4 rounds out of Stevens, and he's going to start to blow, you know, and his form's going to go out the window, and he's going to get stopped.
But who stopped Stevens? That's the real Stuart. That's the real question, though. Besides early in his career, right? Early in his career, he hasn't been stopped by any of these opponents. Even Ndam, who's dropping him and beating him, he still is tough. So I don't know. I think it's difficult. And Ness, I will take an L on this one. Curtis Stevens was a slight underdog versus Teixeira. A slight underdog. So
yeah, but listen, it wouldn't be about odds, MD, because you said who was the favorite, and you thought that he was signed to Golden Boy because of that. Like, so, you know, the A side was Teixeira. He was the Golden Boy fighter.
Sure, if you want to argue that, I just don't think it was it was a slight upset. It wasn't as big as what you're trying to make it seem like, but I hear what you're saying. I've never been big on Brazilian boxers. I've never heard of one that's had success. I don't need to be
Freitas, man. What's his name? Come on, help me out here, Stuart. The small lightweight guy, or come on, hipster, Acelino Freitas. I'm pronouncing it terribly wrong. I'm sorry. They're gonna kill me in the comments.
Yeah, Brazil's more of an MMA country. I mean, if you go to Brazil, it's not really a boxing nation. It's more of an MMA. That's why they have a lot of world-class MMA fights. But I just want to quickly, before I go, talk about, you mentioned Chris Eubank not being liked in the UK. I mean, is it any wonder? This guy has got to be probably one of the biggest scumbags in boxing. He's a low-life piece of shit.
Whoa!
And let me tell you why. Look, this guy...
He's talking about daddy or son?
He scrapes the barrel, this guy. You know, he waits for people to take massive challenges like DeGale has for most of his career. He's fought great fights to go. Like when Brock fought Triple G. He waits for him to get beat up and then he starts trolling him on the Twitter. I mean, DeGale's sitting there getting his teeth put in and he's got Eubank fucking tweeting him, taking the piss out of him. This guy's just a low-life. And who's this guy Eubank has beat? Who's fighting on pay-per-view? I don't even know who the guy is. The only decent fighter Eubank has fought, he lost. So what a piece of shit Eubank is, man. I've totally got no respect for that guy. And whoever he fights, if he's fighting an American next, I'm on the American train, man. Fuck him.
Do you have any more respect for Eubank Jr., though? Well, not Eubank Jr., for Billy Joe Saunders. No, I want Stu to... Do you have any more respect for Billy Joe Saunders, though?
Yes, I do. I mean, Billy Joe Saunders is holding that belt hostage, and his last fight was a hideous performance. It was horrendous to watch. But at the end of the day, look at Billy Joe's resume. You know, he's a decent fighter.
He hasn't had any leeway.
He's not. Hang on a minute, MD. He's not tweeting fighters after fighting world-class fighters like Badu Jack and Golovkin, sitting there taking the piss out of him when they barely fucking finished the fight. He's got no class.
I hear
that is a good point.
It is interesting that
like that. You know, it is true. Like, you know, he's just coming out of a tough fight with a world-class fighter, and you're taking shots on him on social media so the world could see.
He's taking the lower route. He's taking the lower route. Wait till a big
has no class. So just saying it like that, it's true, because at that point, you know, you should be like, yo, James DeGale, you know, it's a draw. You fought a tough fight, you know.
Yeah, he's taking the lower route. Let me use this analogy properly. In relations to how Lara always calls out guys who already have fights that are made. If you notice, the 2 guys who we called out already had fights that are made. That's the analogy. And Lara always does that. It's when a fight's made, like Dominic Wade or something like that, where Lara's like, oh, why don't you fight me now? It's like, the fight's made. What are you going to do about it? Like, you had your opportunity to try to come to the negotiating tables. But anyways.
If you're watching this in the present, future, or past, hopefully live, you should be hitting that thumbs up button because you're enjoying the content. It's absolutely free, and it helps with the visibility of the show. If you appreciate what we do around here, share this episode. We're going to go out to GT Kid 404. Talk to me.
Yeah. Did Danny Garcia get knocked out yet?
You're about 3 months early, brother.
It's a foregone conclusion, so it's just a matter of time before it happens. The Stevens fight, it's going to be a good fight. It's a good matchup. Two big punchers. I don't really know where they would go after whoever wins. I mean, you're either going to try to fight Billy Joe or maybe Canelo, or they both fought Golovkin though, so there's no point in going back there. But you guys going to do a show later on all those emails that got released?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Not really.
Well, but let me ask you, caller. What about the emails do you want to hear us talk about? Because I don't know. Like,
good question.
There's a lot in there.
Yes, a lot of material.
Yeah. So what made you ask us that?
Well, I think a couple of things is one is obviously the Golden Boy financials is a big deal, and then just as far as what all this means, because a lot of people aren't going to sit down and read all that stuff. Just what everything means for boxing in general. So this lawsuit going on and dragging on. So I think a lot of people don't know. Casuals don't know. So what does this mean moving forward?
I think the biggest issue is that business experts and boxing experts and even hardcores, we still don't really know. It's like we could surmise about some of the findings in that. Like, we already established that Golden Boy is financially dependent on Canelo, but it's like we already knew that. So I guess it just affirms that, right?
Yeah,
and I know
confirms what we knew. I mean,
yeah.
And there is something else, but it's just, I don't know. We shall see.
The racial, and listen, I will say this again.
Wait a minute, MD. GT Kid, you're the first to bring it up. And if we get more, we will do it. Demand is what controls the voice of the people around here, right? You are the voice. Now you just need the people to back that opinion, and we will, do it.
Yeah, and I will say this again, just so a lot of people are listening in from the third party. The email about very racially racist statements made about Al Heyman was to a Golden Boy employee, not from it, right? So that's no different than John Doe emailing the Boxing Voice saying those same things and linking it to the Boxing Voice. So if that's, that's another thing that made the news, but again, to me, it's not really news because you can't blame the email recipient.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why Golden Boy is making sure that's not going to be in court, because it does seem like very substantial evidence. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what they're trying to get out of court because it's very circumstantial evidence. It does not seem like it's anything concrete, and it has no bearing towards Golden Boy at all. So.
But if you guys want to look up the guy's name and harass him on Twitter, you guys could do that. It's free. It's the free market. I give you guys permission because listen.
Read the article first and come to your own conclusion. Let us know in the comments below if you would like that as an episode. We're going to go to Donald, I believe, in Richmond. Talk to me.
What's up? Well, this is surprising. I just seen this pop up. I said, "Whoa, wait a minute! I'm gonna go here and see Curtis. What is it? Curtis Stevens versus David Lemieux. I think that's a good fight for David Lemieux, but I don't think it's a good fight for Curtis Stevenson because Curtis Stevenson, a lot of times he looks like he can't finish the fight. His last fight with that guy, he did good the first couple of rounds, and it was like he was gonna knock the guy out, and then he kind of just gassed out, and the guy got back in the fight, and we all know David Lemieux is a puncher. I could see David Lemieux stopping him. What do you guys think?
The first 4 rounds are crucial. If Lemieux can get past the first 4 rounds, then all bets are off because of the power by both men.
I think Stevens could look awful.
I agree with you.
I think Stevens could look awful, old, and still somehow pull out the win. That's how I see it going.
Yeah, that is true as well.
I don't. But you know what though? I don't see him looking with Lemieux and pulling the win off with Lemieux because Lemieux doesn't have stamina issues. Lemieux doesn't look like he gasses out after the 5th or 6th round. So if Stevenson doesn't get him out in the first 4 rounds and he loses his his power, he's through. I could see Lemieux catching him with some good shots and getting him out of there.
Lemieux did have stamina issues back in the day, which is why it led to his knockout versus Rubio. But it is fair to say that he seemed to improve that deficiency in his game.
Yeah. Lemieux has improved. Like I said, if Lemieux doesn't get stopped in the first 4 rounds, I can see Lemieux winning by a stoppage, maybe like 7th or 8th. I say anywhere between the 7th and 9th round. I could see Lemieux winning by a stoppage if Stevenson doesn't come in there with a real good game plan, or if he punches himself out in the first 4 rounds.
Donald, thanks for calling in, my friend. 416 Savage, Toronto. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, boys? I seen you had the man, David Lemieux. I'm here to support Canadian, got to support the Canadians. You got to knock him out too, stoppage. And then I think the winner of this should fight Jacobs, because we know Jacobs is going to lose to Golovkin. And we'll see where we go from there.
That's all you got?
That's all I got, homies. That's all I got.
All right,
I'll
Savage. Thanks for calling in, brother. We always appreciate it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, remember to head on over to theboxingvoice.com/reunion. We're having our 3rd TBV appreciation night. We need those 25 RSVPs. Let's make sure that we get that. It's going to be March 3rd on the eve of Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman in New York City. Head on over to theboxingvoice.com/reunion. We got videos of our Las Vegas edition and our first ever New York City. So come be a part of that. Join in those festivities. Listen, this has been, I guess, your review of this announcement. It's a pretty good fight. It's funny. People they see it ending in knockout regardless. So I guess now if Stevens can't get him out early, he can't make it late, huh? Be due to his stamina issues and Lemieux's power? Is that what the
I don't know. I see it I see if David Lemieux wins, I could see him winning on a points decision. I don't necessarily think it's a foregone conclusion knockout, but I definitely see knockdowns inevitable, because I could see both guys being dropped from each other's power. But I do agree that from Matt's perspective, that's why it's a tough fight, and this is why it's a good fight, that Curtis Stevens does look a little shot.
Lemieux, man, I don't know, that last fight, it was not sexy at all versus a nobody.
Neither was the Stevens one. Come on, man. That one was awful. He arguably lost that one too. Or you can make a draw. You can argue like other scorecards for that fight. Like at least David Lemieux still won almost all the rounds against Christian Fabian Rios. But James De La Rosa did a lot of good work in that fight against Curtis
I would have
Stevens.
to go back and watch it. I don't even remember that fight, to be honest with you.
It was a shit fight.
Yeah, there you go. Who wants to see that as a review?
Jason Quigley beat Del Rosa better.
No, Quigley seems to be the goods though. He's on a fast track for sure.
Yeah. I'm not saying that to disrespect Quigley. I'm saying that Quigley has not been in the level of Curtis Stevens before. He hasn't got a title shot yet. So I don't know. But again, this is a great fight for a year that seems to be starting to be a really good year in boxing, right? This could, maybe we'll get a knockout of the year contender in there. Maybe some guy will get knocked through the rope. So
it seems like it's got to be a sexy fight. You know what I mean? And damn, Lemieux had a bunch of knockouts and knockdowns. Listen, I am your host, Nestor Gibbs. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at NesGTO. You can find the good doctor at.
You can find me at BoxingMD1 on Twitter.
And the editor.
You can find me at Mixed Combat News on Twitter, and my MMA podcast, Mixed Combat Radio, on all platforms: YouTube, SoundCloud, Patreon, iTunes, etc.
And you know where you can find us at The Boxing Voice on all forms of social media. Patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice to get more exclusive, never before seen content. I got some behind the scenes coming out too. I'm gonna hold off just a little bit, but I got little baby interviews with some of the Brooklyn hip hop community that was in the building, with Papoose and Remy Martin, asking about Daniel Jacobs, and it's funny. You're gonna want to hear what they got to say about that one. It was that's probably why I'm not gonna make it public and shit.
Yo, you got Shine too? Shine?
I didn't know he was back in New York.
I'm kidding. I don't know. I haven't heard about that name in so many years. I just
Okay. I don't know. MD's trying to flex his hip hop. I guess.
Matt, do you know who Shine is?
Matt's eating
He
over.
doesn't. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. Not everybody knows.
We're out of here. Laters.
Later.